All right, so today we're going to be talking about our introduction to polar coordinates, okay? This is our unit 6, all right? And so polar coordinates are always going to be in the form of r theta, where r is the radius, theta is the angle measure. Sorry guys there. Okay? So these first 4 questions, they just want us to graph. We're going to talk about some of the characteristics. So each one of these spokes, guys, and I associate these with bicycles, okay? And so each spoke is going to be angle measured. So 30, 45, 60, 90, 120, 135, 150, 180, 210, 225, 240, 270, 300, 315, 330. Obviously this was 0 degrees when we started, but then 360. Okay? And then also what you have is that you have these rings, and these rings are your radius. So this ring right here, that first ring right there, that would be a radius r of 1. So then you go to the second ring. That would be a radius of 2. Third ring, radius of 3. Fourth ring, radius of 4. And then fifth ring, you get the point. I just have to erase everything, so that's why I don't want to keep doing so much. Normally when I'm on my surface, it's really easy to obviously erase. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's graph this first one here. And so this is in the form of r theta. Okay, r theta. And so it says this, it says 2, 45 degrees. So I'm going to go to my 45 degree spoke here. And from the origin, I'm going to go up 2 rings. 1, 2, because r is 2. Graph that point. And then if you want to erase the spoke, you can. I do. Just easier that way. All right, and there you go. Example 2 here now, 5 comma negative 2 pi over 3. First off, let's change that negative 2 pi over 3 to degrees. A lot easier that way. So I'll multiply it by 180 over pi. And so when you do that, you're going to be left with a negative 120 degrees. Okay, recall, look at this time though. This time, our form is positive r, but a negative theta. Positive r, but a negative theta. So we want to find 5 comma negative 120. Now recall though, okay, when you go negative like this, you're going to go clockwise. And so it's going to look like this. It's going to be negative 0 degrees, negative 30, negative 45, negative 60, negative 90, negative 120, negative 135, negative 150, negative 180, negative 210, negative 225, negative 240, negative 270, 300, negative 315, negative 330, and then all the way back around negative 360. So same kind of process as number 1. Okay, we're going to find that negative 120 spoke, which is right there. Okay, and then what we are going to do is we're going to go down. It says 5, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rings, and there you go. Okay, so there's our first 2. So now it gets a little bit more difficult because now we're going to introduce a negative r. Okay, so this time now look what we have here. We've got negative r, positive theta. Okay, and so to do these, I'm going to have you think that r is positive because it's a lot easier when r is positive to graph these. So think that, and we're going to call this our ghost point. Okay, we're going to call this our ghost point. So let's go ahead and let's graph that. So our 150 spoke is right here. And then we're going to go 1, 2, 3. Instead of drawing a closed circle there, I'm going to keep an open circle. Okay, I'm going to keep an open circle because that's a ghost point. What do we know about, if you've seen the Geico commercial with Casper, right? He starts eating all that popcorn, just goes right through him, right? Because he's a ghost, like it doesn't. So we keep that space open to remind us that that's not our correct point, but that that's a placeholder for us. So now how do we go ahead and graph the negative r? Well, we just do this. We just go down the spoke through the origin to the opposite side. Think negative r, opposite. And we're going to go down to the third ring. 1, 2, 3. Plot that point there, and here is negative 3, 150 degrees. And you can keep your ghost point there. I don't know what I was doing, so I was just kind of erasing the rest there. So you can see that. All right, here we go. Example 4, graph the point. Negative 4, negative pi over 6. So our form this time is negative r, negative theta. Again, negative pi over 6, that's the same thing as negative 30 degrees. So what I want you to do is I want you just to think about r being positive. It's a lot easier that way to graph it to give us a placeholder. Now, if you understand like how I did the last problem, then you can skip this whole part. It's just first day of notes, right? So I just want to think that. So let's go ahead. First thing I need to do is that negative 30 spoke right here. Again, negative, guys, means I'm going clockwise. Okay? And then I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to leave that as an open circle because that's my ghost. That's my ghost. And now to find the actual point, I'm just going to go back down the same spoke to the opposite side and go 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there, that is going to be negative 4, negative 30. Okay, so that's how it is graphing. It's not that graphing's not too bad. It's really just kind of understanding the multiple representation. Okay? Which is what we're about to get to right now. Okay, multiple representations. We talked about this before kind of briefly on the unit circle. Okay, because I can start a point, say, or first off, like, what is this spoke here? It's 60 degrees, right? Okay. If I go counterclockwise, one full rotation here, counterclockwise, one full rotation, I would add 360 to it. That would equal 420. Well, the relationship between 60 and 420 is that they have the same where it ends, right? They have the same angle measure. I mean, they have a different angle measure, but they end in the same place, therefore making them coterminal angles. And so what that means is that I have to restrict this for you guys to be between negative 360 and 360 to only have 4 possible pairs that work. Okay? If I did not, it would be infinite, and you would have so many, you wouldn't be able to answer them, obviously answer them all for me. Okay? So, what I wanted you guys to notice was if you look at these 4 questions, look what we had. Our first one was just positive r, positive theta. Our second one was positive r, negative theta. Our third one was negative r, positive theta. And our fourth one was negative r, negative theta. Okay? That is what we are going to be filling out for every one of these. Okay? Now there's 2 methods. There's circle method, which is what I left for you to give you an option to do. It's easy when r and theta are positive. It gets way more difficult here, and so we're going to talk about another way how to find those multiple representations without needing the circle. Okay? So for this first one here, I was given positive r, positive theta. Okay? I need to find positive r, negative theta. Negative r, positive theta, and then negative r, negative theta. Okay? So the first thing we want to do is we want to graph what was given to us. So we want to go to the 135 spoke, which I think you guys know by right now is this spoke right here. And we're going to go up for 1, 2, 3, 4. Graph that. I also want to go ahead and I want to graph my ghost point, which my ghost point is opposite down the spoke there. We'll talk about why shortly here. And so there's your ghost point, which is just negative r, right? Negative r. Okay? Based on what we have, positive 135, negative r. Okay? Now, to find these other points, okay, find these other points is and one, what we think about when we see this is, how do we find theta in standard position? Well, theta in standard position, we start on this positive x-axis, and then we were always going counterclockwise until I hit something, whether it was my terminal side of my triangle, whether it was my vector, okay, that type of thing. And so would you agree if you went counterclockwise here to that point, that is for 135. Okay? All right? So we know that's true because that's given us. Now, how do we find negative theta? Well, remember, negative, what are you going to do? You're going to go counterclockwise. So I'm going to go along the same ring clockwise, not counterclockwise. I skip over the ghost point, continue all the way. And when I do that, I find out then that negative theta is actually a negative 225. And look what I did. I formed a circle. And what you need to understand is that the relationship between this 135 and this 225 is, because they're going to the same spot, is that they are coterminal. They're coterminal. And so we needed a negative theta, so what I'm going to do when I get to this problem over here, when I get to that point, I'm going to go ahead and take whatever is given, I'm going to subtract or add 360 because I know the relationship between the thetas when the r's stay the same is that they are coterminal. Okay? So now we're going to do the exact same thing now for the ghost point to help us find these other 2 points. Okay? We know r is going to be negative. It does not change the value, it just becomes negative. So you have a negative 4 there. Okay? And then we know, same thing here, negative 4 as well. Now, how do we find theta, though, for that ghost point? We're going to do the same thing. I'm going to start at standard position here. And I'll make this a solid line for you. Go all the way through. That looks like 270 right here. 270, 300, 315. And so then that positive value would be 315. So all I did is I now do the same thing but to the ghost point from standard position. So standard position, counterclockwise, that's 315 degrees. Now to finish the circle, I got to go clockwise as well from standard position. And so when you do that, when you go to the ghost point, that's going to be a negative 45. And so your other point there is negative 4, negative 45. And so we found all of our multiple representations. Now, the big thing I want you still to see too is this, and this is why I'm erasing this. The relationship, we have to understand, which is going to help us find this answer is that the relationship between when you switch r from a positive value to negative value is that how'd you get there? How far did it take? Well, if we go from our positive r value here, our closed value, all the way to our ghost point down there, our open circle, our negative r, we went 180 degrees. So when you are switching from a positive to a negative r or a negative r to a positive r, you're just going to go ahead and add 180 or subtract 180 to find theta. Okay? So watch what I do here on this next one. I'm not going to even use the circle here. I'm just going to shade it out. Okay? Let's see what I've been given here first. I've been given negative r, negative theta. Okay? So what that means is then, is that I have to find negative r, positive theta. Okay, so I need to find negative r, positive theta. So what is that going to look like? Well, we know then that our negative r is a negative 3. And now what's the relationship? When the sign does not change for r, they are coterminal. So this point right here is negative 3, negative 150. Okay? So I ask myself this. What do I need? I know that they're coterminal. How do we find coterminals? We just add or subtract 360. Well, if I was to subtract 360 from a negative 150, that's going to be way past negative 360 to the left here. Way past it. Okay? So then I'm going to say to myself, okay, well, I need a positive angle anyways. So the only way to get a positive angle with coterminals at a negative 150 is I'm going to take that negative 150 and I'm going to add 360. And so then that first multiple representation with keeping r negative is going to be negative 3, positive 210. Okay? I need to now find positive r, positive theta. So again, I go back to my original. Okay, r is real easy to find because all you're doing is flipping the signs. Okay, I go back to my original, that negative 150, and I say, okay, when I flip signs for r, I'm just adding or subtracting 180. Okay, I need a positive angle this time, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add 180. And so when I add 180, that's now going to leave me with 330. There's your second representation. Okay? And then for last, what else do I still need to find? I need to find now positive r, negative theta. So r's did not change. So that means whatever this negative theta is a coterminal angle to this 30 degrees here. And so what I'm going to do then is I'm going to do this, is I'm going to leave r's 3. I'm going to take that 30 degrees, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to subtract 360. Again, what I want you to notice is we don't use the original anymore for this last one. We use what we found in that second representation, angle-wise, to help us find our third representation. Again, why am I subtracting 360? Because r is the same here in both of these points. They are coterminal angles. And how do you find coterminals? You just add or subtract 360. We are subtracting 360, though, because we need a negative theta. And so when I do that, my final answer then is going to be negative 330. Okay? A couple big things that I want you to understand real quick before I end this video here. One, if you're not 100% sure after watching this, that's okay. Rewatch it. This is a tough topic. We are going to be going over this a lot tomorrow, and then we'll take that short quiz on Friday. Okay? Couple things I want you to understand, like if you look at number 5 here, which I forgot to bring up, look at all these answers. Look at all the theta, look at all the degree measures, okay? No repeats. And then they are all a part of one family. Recall, we talked about this a lot back in Unit 1. The 3 families are 30 degree, 45 degree, 60 degree. And so all these angle measures are either be 30 degrees, 45, or 60. So like right now, number 5 is 45. Number 6 is going to be 30. Okay? So that about wraps it up for this. Again, tomorrow in class, we will be doing more practice of this. We will spend some time on the homework, make sure we have this correct. All right, guys? All right. Thanks a lot. Have a great day, and I will talk to you tomorrow in class. Peace.